What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. It's time to find out some details about the little case with the green circle you've been seeing in the left of all of my videos. It's the Cougar QBX case and this is my gaming/editing PC and it's a very good all-around performer. I'm very proud of this build actually done 2 years ago because I have managed to fit a lot of good components including 2 AIO liquid coolers, one for the GPU and one for the CPU, in a very small case that it's under 2 liters, actually 19.9 liters. This case is measuring 29 by 38 by 18 centimeters and it is truly small. It has metallic mesh panels on each side, so no window, but this translates into better all-around cooling as air can flow from every side. There is the option to add a 90mm fan in the front and in the back and 4 120mm fans, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom of the case, where you also have a removable dust filter. This makes cooling your components a breeze in such a small space, even if you choose active or passive cooling. I have fitted all of the fans with grills to make sure none of the cables interfere with them, as the space is very tight and not too friendly for good cable management. I like the fact that the PSU fan can get the air from one of the sides and get it through the top of the case, as it does not interfere with the rest of the components. This way it's isolated from the rest of the system, a clever design in my opinion. The Cougar QBX is the smallest mini-ITX case I know that could fit not one but 2 AIO liquid coolers. Of course there are smaller ITX cases out there, but let's not forget the fact that those are only for living room PCs with a very small PSU and mostly with integrated graphics card. In the QBX you can fit a full-size ATX PSU and a long graphics card like 35 cm long. I have fitted mine with an SFX power supply of 650 watts, so I have more than enough power. But we will test that in a future video where I will build a 3rd gen Ryzen 9 system using the same power supply in a mini-ITX case. I think technology has gotten to a point where big ATX boards are not needed anymore, as those were used only for SLI Crossfire that have been discontinued. Mini-ITX boards have now all the bells and whistles of their big brothers, including wireless AC, RGB, multiple M2 slots, and also sometimes portability is needed, so yeah, an ITX case is for you. Speaking of airflow, I have fitted mine with a slim 120mm fan at the bottom that sucks cold air from below and blows it directly into the graphics card. I had a second fan also, but now it's removed to be able to feed the GPU with an AIO liquid cooler with an NZXT Kraken G12 adapter with a 120mm radiator and a pump. This has been the most impressive change to this GPU and has done a ton of improvement. As you can see, idle temps are basically the room ambient temperature, and in gaming it gets to around 70 degrees, depending on the game, could be lower or higher by a few degrees. The stock cooling of the GPU got to around 10 to 14 degrees higher in games, but the noise was a far bigger problem than that. Now with the new cooling, also the noise is really a non-issue. The CPU I'm using is an Intel i7 A700K at 3.6 GHz, not overclocked, as I see no benefits from that, at least in the games I play where the GPU is limiting factor at 1440p resolution. This processor is also cooled by an AIO liquid cooling solution from Segotep. As some of you know, this A700K is one of the hottest 6-core CPUs around, but surprisingly it's been running, as you can see, at 36-37 degrees in idle, and in games it can get to a rather low 60 to 68 degrees. Taking into consideration that I only have the cooler at the top of the case that blows air from above, and one small 90mm cooler at the back to blow out the hot air from the case, so not really a decent airflow, these are definitely good temps on this configuration. What helps in this situation is that both of the AIO radiators are placed on one side, blowing the air out, so none of the hot air gets to stay inside the case. The rest of the system specs include an ASRock B360M AC motherboard with integrated Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so this could very well be a portable system. An M2 SSD slot is also present on the board, so I have fitted an ultra-fast NVMe Gen 3 ADATA S6 A200 Pro with 1TB of space. This really helps me with the speed and space for my editing projects. Another 3 SSDs are cranked up in this tight space, 2 on the back of the case and 1 at the bottom. Believe it or not, if I would keep the original air cooling of the GPU, I would be able to fit a 240mm CPU cooler, and a small SFX power supply makes room for that. There are some RGB lights in there, an RGB strip, an RGB ring, a cooler and a controller, even though only the ring is mainly visible to add some motion and color effects to an otherwise dark and stealthy look. Due to the many openings in the case, especially to its sides, the Cougar QBX has very limited sound dampening capabilities. But despite of that, it still manages to produce a very low noise from the fans. Only under stress and gaming, fans get a little louder, but even then not really noticeable or disturbing. Overall, I've been really pleased with this case, and at $50 it's a steal. Let me know in the comments below if you know any case that has comparable features and size. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this review, and as mentioned in the beginning of this video, stay tuned for next week as I will be building my next ITX PC. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more tech content. I'll see you in the next one.